Today, President Biden will head to Japan for the G7 summit. He was supposed to visit Papua New Guinea and Australia, but canceled those parts of his trip amid the looming debt crisis here at home. He met with congressional leaders yesterday for another round of debt limit talks. And our Weijia Jiang has the details. Weijia, good morning.
Good morning, Vlad and Anne-Marie. Good morning to everybody. So after that meeting, there was a glimmer of hope because both sides came out to say that it was productive, but they also agree that there is still a lot of work to do. And with the clock ticking now, one of the big challenges and questions is whether they can get this done before that looming deadline. And that's exactly why President Biden bought more time by shortening his trip.
I'm cutting my trip short.
President Biden's decision to ditch Australia and Papua New Guinea so he can rush back to Washington underscores how little time is left to reach a deal on the debt ceiling. The U.S. could run out of money to pay its bills as soon as June 1st, 15 days away.
Default is not an option. America pays its debts, pays its bills.
Yesterday, the president's meeting with congressional leaders did not end with an agreement.
We're having a wonderful time. Everything's going well.
But they're inching closer.
The structure of how we negotiate has improved. So it now gives you a better opportunity.
CBS News has learned that House Speaker Kevin McCarthy pushed for high-profile negotiators to hammer out a deal. The president appointed 3 top West Wing aides to get it done, including the head of his budget office, Shalonda Young. Areas of compromise include permitting changes for domestic energy projects and clawing back about $30 billion in unspent federal COVID relief money. Republicans want to add stricter work requirements for recipients of Medicaid and food stamps, an idea that progressives call a non-starter.
There will be a huge backlash if we do something like institute work requirements or cut spending more broadly.
Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen warned of the consequences of failing to find compromise.
It could lead to a downturn as severe as the Great Recession. Over 8 million Americans lose their jobs, and the value of the stock market is slashed by about 45%, wiping out years of retirement and other household savings.
Even though President Biden is going to be overseas, he says that he will be speaking regularly on the phone with those congressional leaders and that all of their staffs will be meeting here in Washington daily. Mr. Biden is planning to come back to town on Sunday. Vlad and Anne-Marie?
So, Weijia, what's this that we're hearing about McCarthy's push for high-profile negotiators to step in?
Well, apparently this is what he had been asking for, and he got what he wanted, because initially in those very tight-roomed meetings with staffers from his team and from the White House, it was a deputy from the National Economic Council, as well as somebody who is below Director Shalonda Young, who she, of course, is the head of the budget office. And in some ways, our Major Garrett reported that McCarthy has felt disrespected in this process. He really wanted some big players, the top guns, to be in the room to show that the White House was serious about negotiating. And so that is what happened. And that is why we saw a very different tone from McCarthy after yesterday's meeting. You saw him come out and say that he was, optimistic, that he thought, a deal could be done by the end of the week because the negotiating structure has changed, meaning that the big, top names are now going to be in the room with his staffers to work out the details.
So listen, we know, as you point out, the president is cutting his trip a little short. We know that the U.S. has been working to sort of beef up influence in this part of the world and combat China's influence. What are the implications of the president not going to Papua New Guinea and not going to Australia?
Well, with regard to Australia, the president was planning to attend a summit between the Quad leaders there, the U.S., Japan, India, and Australia. So that meeting is going to happen. It's just being pushed over to Japan now instead of in Australia. So even though India and Australia are not members of the G7, they have been invited to the summit, and so they'll be able to talk about Beijing's aggression in the region, Beijing's influence in the region, and still have that very important meeting. The problem, or potential problem, I should say, with not going to Papua New Guinea, this would have been the first visit by an American president to an independent Pacific Islands nation, and even the president and the White House himself has been talking about how important this meeting is, and the fact that it is not happening now could, some analysts worry, change that influence for that nation, and they could align more with China. But they are calling this just a rescheduling, meaning that at some point the president still intends to visit there, but we don't know when, because of course it all depends on his domestic schedule as well.
Yeah, of course. So what is on the agenda for the G7 summit?
Well, at the top of the agenda here, I think, is going to be talking about, all the progress that has been made, probably talking about how things are going post-COVID. And I wouldn't be surprised if he was asked some tough questions about, the U.S. airing this laundry in public on such a critical issue that not only impacts the American financial system and economy, but could impact the world economy. Questions about whether the U.S. is trustworthy when it comes to, paying its bills on time. But this is a really important summit every year because we're talking about 7 of the world's largest economies. And I imagine because they are in that region that they will also spend quite a lot of time talking about the growing threat, the growing nuclear ambition from North Korea in their nuclear plans. So a lot on the agenda, Anne-Marie.
Indeed. Weijia, thank you very much.
You're welcome.